Chapter 7. The Crazy Cat Lady. Sally stood on the sidewalk in front of the house, 2 doors down. Pinguino had nodded to her and leapt over the fence of the orange house into the backyard, leaving Sally alone. Her head and her heart were having a really loud argument. Her head was screaming, "This is stupid. What a joke. This house is orange. No one normal lives in an orange house." Sally felt a little bit afraid that maybe the crazy cat lady was actually crazy, the scary kind of crazy, not the fun-loving kind of crazy she'd imagined up until now. Sally looked over the ugly house. The huge roof of orange wavy tiles looked like a hat that had been pulled down too low over the house's eyes. Peach-colored shutters sat against melon-colored stucco, and the rust-colored bricks of the driveway and walk just made it worse. A funny thought wafted through Sally's brain. I know we live in Orange County, California, but that is supposed to be for all the orange trees that were here long ago, not for the color of the houses. She chortled at her thought and then let it go, focusing back on the house. Everything about the house was squatty. The roof, the mutant palm tree, the pineapple-shaped bush that sat by the mailbox, and even the wood fence that wound lazily around the front yard. It was starting to look sinister and spooky. Sally almost turned around to run away. But then Sally's heart let out a loud, "Look closer!" Sally squinted and looked at the fence. There, on the gate, was nailed a metal silhouette of a cat sitting proudly. Sally gasped and looked up, noticing a matching cat weather vane perched on the roof over the front door. Sally walked up to the gate and looked over. There was a cute little wood bridge arcing over some white stones that wound around the yard like a river. Hanging over the edge of the bridge was a little statue of a playful feline. It was obviously interacting with the other cat statue positioned below on the river's bank. This doesn't look so bad, Sally thought, relaxing. Someone who loves cats this much can't be stupid, whispered Sally's heart. And then her eyes saw the colorful flag with cats playing jazz instruments sticking out of a pot of daisies by the front door. Right next to it was a doormat with a picture of a cat playing a saxophone that said, "Welcome home, cats." Sally's heart leapt with joy, winning the argument it was having with her head. Sally knew she was welcome there, no matter how crazy the house looked. Just then, a huge lime green roller skate turned into the driveway, and fear leapt up inside Sally again. She almost ran, but decided to look closer. It wasn't really a roller skate. It was one of those itsy-bitsy, squatty smart cars that looked like a roller skate. Sally sighed with relief. A white-haired lady got out of the car and stared at Sally. Sally froze, not knowing what to do. The lady wasn't much taller than the roller skate smart car. She blinked to break her stare, and then walked around the car to the passenger door. Sally's eyes were drawn to the lady's outfit. Pink and purple plaid rain boots, a bright yellow knee-length skirt, and a white shirt that had a black cat holding yellow flowers peeking around the edge of her body. What a great outfit, Sally thought. The lady's white hair was accented with one purple rose behind her left ear. The lady was throwing a purple purse over her shoulder and picking up 2 paper bags off the passenger seat. "Are you the superhero I ordered?" she asked, shutting the door and walking toward Sally. "What was that?" Sally muttered, wondering if this lady really was crazy. Everyone knew you didn't order superheroes. They came in response to a distress beacon lit up in the sky, or an alert on their super radar distress detection equipment, or by flying by and seeing you in trouble. "I'm in need of a superhero to get a cat out of a tree," the lady said. "Since you have a blue suit, cape, and boots, I thought you were the hero coming to my rescue." Sally laughed despite herself. She did look rather, superhero-y, if not a little ragged and dusty. She struck her best superhero pose, hands on hips, feet firmly planted, and chin in the air. "Super Sally to the rescue," she chimed with a grin. "Okay, Super Sally, carry one of these bags inside," said the crazy cat lady, handing Sally a paper bag and walking toward the door. As Sally followed the little lady through the gate, she patted the metal cat silhouette with her free hand and grinned at the happy felines playing by the river of rocks. The saxophone-playing cat on the Welcome Home Cats doormat winked at her as she stood waiting for the door to be opened, and Sally knew everything was going to be okay. When the crazy cat lady opened the door, Sally was greeted with the smell of vanilla. She took in a deep breath and smiled. "You like vanilla, do you?" grinned the lady. "I just made a bundt cake before I had to go to the store to get canned cat food." Sally thought of the special cake she and her sisters always helped Mom make for Daddy. Even though it was a family recipe called sour cream cake, they called it geek loaf because all the computer guys at Daddy's work loved it. "I love to make cakes," Sally said, a little uncomfortable at being inside a stranger's house, even though it did smell so good. The crazy cat lady seemed to sense Sally's awkwardness and stopped abruptly in the entry hall. "Hi, I'm Lucy Montgomery," she said, sticking out her hand. Sally shook it politely and said, "I'm Sally Morris, pleased to meet you." Lucy grinned mischievously. "I'm not a stranger now, so you can be at peace. Come on in." Sally wondered how Lucy knew what she was thinking. "I have a granddaughter about your age," Lucy said, "and a grandson a little younger. We always tell them not to go into strangers' houses." Lucy paused and grinned. "Does your mom know where you are?" Sally was surprised by the question and froze, trying to think of something to say that wasn't a lie. Something was bothering her about her mom, but Sally couldn't quite figure out what it was. It was like her smart self was trying to clue her into something, but wasn't being very clear. Lucy seemed to be staring into Sally, probing her thoughts for the truth. Sally had no idea what to do or say. Just then the doorbell rang. Lucy was startled out of her probing stare. She handed Sally the bag that was in her hand and said, "Would you please take this to the kitchen and put my cottage cheese in the fridge? I don't want it to go bad." Sally took the bag with her right hand. She was still holding the other bag in her left hand and remembered how good she was at helping Mom put the groceries away. Then a horrible thought hit her, as if her smart self gave up hinting and just yelled loudly, "Mom doesn't know where you are!" Sally was mortified that her mom might be worried. Mom was probably worried sick about her. She might have called all her friends to look for her, or had Daddy and Auntie out searching the neighborhood to find her, or even called the police to send out a missing persons alert. Sally didn't mean to frighten anyone. She had been so preoccupied last night with not getting caught, she hadn't even thought about how her family might feel at her being missing. Tears welled up in her eyes and Sally was frantic. "I have to call my mom!" "Okay, darling, calm down. It's okay. There's a phone in the kitchen. Go right ahead and call her," cooed Lucy. "Do you know your number?" Sally didn't even hear the last part of Lucy's question, or see her open the door to a blonde lady who sneezed 2 times into a tissue. Sally was bolting down the hall looking for the kitchen. She found it at the end on the right, and spotted an old-fashioned hot pink phone hanging up on the wall by the fridge. Dropping the bags on the floor, she reached to get the handset off the cradle. The numbers were big and glowed white. It took Sally a second to remember her mom's cell number, but she finally got it dialed in. Sally waited impatiently while it rang on the other end. There was no answer. Mom's recorded voice chimed on and said something about not being able to get to the phone and to leave a message after the beep. The beep felt like it took forever. Finally, it ended, and Sally blurted out frantically, "Mom, I'm okay. I'm not kidnapped or stolen or anything. Don't be worried. I'm okay. Everything's okay." The phone beeped again, and a computery voice said, "Voice box full," then hung up. Sally wasn't sure if her message had gotten recorded or not, but she felt much better having called and told her mom everything was okay. By the time Lucy squeaked into the kitchen in her purple and plaid plastic rain boots, Sally had the cottage cheese in the fridge and was working on stacking 7 cans of cat food neatly on the counter. "I've got to get these boots off," Lucy mumbled, holding onto the counter with one hand while she bent over and pulled at a boot with the other. "They're great for gardening because I can hose the dirt off, but they get a little hot after a while." Sally shifted her attention from stacking cans to helping Lucy tug at her boots. When both of them were off and Lucy had on furry fuchsia slippers, Sally headed back to the cat food cans to resume her stacking. "You look much calmer," Lucy noticed. "Everything okay with Mom?" "It was good to hear her voice," Sally confessed. failing to mention that she'd only left a message. Her heart and head wanted to argue again, but Sally refused to listen to her head telling her to go straight home. Her heart was drawn to the 7 cans of cat food on the counter, and Sally was curious to meet the felines that lived there. "So, you have cats?" Sally asked, ignoring the mom question and referencing the cat food she was stacking on the counter. Just then, a huge Siamese cat with a scar across his left eyelid meandered into the kitchen and plopped down onto the linoleum in front of the fridge. Lying there with his 4 legs sprawled out in all directions, he resembled a bear rug or lion pelt. Sally giggled at how funny he looked. "There you are, Rambo," Lucy said, bending down to scratch his ears. "Have you come back to apologize and make things right?" Rambo blinked and began to purr. "You behaved very badly this morning," Lucy scolded. "What did he do?" Sally asked, bending down to pet him while Lucy stood up. "He scared our guest up a tree," Lucy exclaimed, looking out the kitchen window and up into the sky. "Yep, Mercury is still up there. I can just barely see his tail." "Your guest has a tail?" Sally asked, confused. Lucy erupted in laughter that felt like bubbles dancing on the wind. Sally laughed too. But Rambo didn't seem to like the joy. He got up and walked through the dining room, which was on the other side of the fridge, to the glass sliding door that led out back. The door was cracked just enough for him to squeeze through. "That's right, mister. You go make it right with Mercury right now," Lucy called after him, following him into the dining room and sitting on one of the purple padded chairs. Sally followed and watched him leap over the fence instead of climb up the tree. "He's ornery, just like my precious husband," she said, gazing lovingly at a picture hanging on the wall. Sally didn't know what ornery meant, but thought it was something fun by the way Lucy said it. She looked at the picture that the old lady was staring at. It had a much younger Lucy wearing a white daisy wreath on her long blonde hair, with her arms draped around a very happy-looking man with long brown hair and a bushy mustache. "I like his shirt," Sally said, admiring the colorful tie-dye pattern. "What's his name?" "Henry," Lucy answered wistfully. "He's in a much better place now, enjoying colors far more beautiful than those in his groovy tie-dye shirt." She grinned, and Sally thought she saw one small tear drop from Lucy's left eye. Sally knew that meant Henry was dead, but she was surprised at how happy and peaceful the thought seemed to make Lucy. "Last time I saw him," Lucy continued, "he had a green surgery cap over that beautiful brown hair, and no mustache at all. He was on the gurney going into triple bypass heart surgery. He sat up, put his hands on my shoulders, gazed into my eyes, and said, 'Lucy girl, I love you.'" There was a long pause, while Lucy relived that precious moment with her husband, and while Sally went back to her dream from last night and remembered those same words her daddy had said to her. Everything was still. But Sally was in no hurry to interrupt the moment. She felt more peace and love now than she had ever experienced before in her 8 years on the planet, and she was happy to stay in her dream world, gazing at her daddy's eyes and feeling his love for her. After what seemed like forever, Lucy broke the silence. "That was 3 years ago last month," she whispered, looking right into Sally's blue eyes. "There were complications during the surgery. He never came back to me." Sally was surprised to hear the familiar word, complications, and it showed on her face. Lucy shook her head as if to clear the haze. "Oh, darling, I'm so sorry. I get a little sentimental sometimes. That was long ago. You don't want to hear about hospitals. You want to hear about cats. Let me tell you the story of what happened today. Come, sit here at the table."